Hello everyone, I want to share with you some of the basics of stamping for people who maybe haven't tried stamping before or are new to it. We have 3 different kinds of stamps over here. I want to show you a woodblock mounted stamp. I've got a whole little alphabet here and it's a nice rubber stamp with a little bit of cushioning mounted on a wooden block. These are classified as unmounted stamps, so sometimes when you buy them, like this beautiful darkroom door background stamp, it comes with a really thin layer of easy mount already applied to the back of it. But this Craftin' Kimmy stamp, when I got that, it was just the rubber, and I've had to put that easy mount on the back by myself. Easy mount is a very cool product. It's easy to use, super sticky on one side and clinging on the other side, and I'll show you that later. Here we have acrylic stamps. The difference between these, this is discoloured and this is all sparkly and new, because these are old and these are new. So I'm going to show you how to use all of these. Very, very easy. Stay tuned. Working with the rubber stamp is really easy. You just have your rubber side up, ink up your stamp and press down. You want to go straight down, even pressure, straight up. You get a nice even print all round. What you don't want to do, sometimes we get really enthusiastic when we're inking it and you'll see there's ink sort of all around the edges. If you are thinking, oh, I've really got it, and you rock it from side to side, make sure you get the whole thing, you end up with these grungy bits around the outside, and it's just, if you put it on a nice fresh piece of cardstock, you've kind of wrecked it. You've then got to make a plan B. Do I cut it out? Do I hide it? Do I throw the whole thing away? So don't rock your stamps. Straight down, straight up, that's all you need to do. These are the rubber stamps, but they are cling mounted stamps. They've got the lovely easy mount on the back there. Now, Easy Mount is an absolutely amazing product. Whoops. It comes in a nice big A4 sheet and it is extremely sticky on this side, and on the other side there's a piece of paper, and when you peel that off, that is your cling. That will cling to your acrylic block. When you've cut out your stamp like this, so what I've done is I've taken this rubber stamp, stuck it on this very sticky side, cut out around it and peeled that paper off. You don't have to keep the paper, you can throw it away. It comes in a thin like this, or it does come in a thicker, more spongy sort of sheet. You want to you have to use an acrylic block with these. There's no way about it, you must use an acrylic block. This is a background stamp by Darkroom Door. Now clearly that's not going to fit on one of these small ones. You are going to need something big if you are using big stamps. That's on there now, not going to fall off, that's all you do. This is more middle of the road. If I put it on this one, it will kind of have a lot of space around it. Clearly it's too big for that. So we're going to take it onto this sort of middle size one. And there we go, that's not going anywhere. For quite small stamps like this greeting stamp from Darkroom Doors All Occasions, I've got it on a smaller block. Now stamping with these is exactly the same as stamping with a wood mounted stamp. You see I've got a bit enthusiastic. If I were to rock this around, hello grungy bits, and it's also not very crisp. So what we want to do with our cling mounted stamps, straight down, straight up. Now I did rock that a little bit and got some on there, so I'm going to try that again. And this time what I'm going to do is just go around the edge and wipe that off, so it's not as big a problem and I don't have to worry if I don't go straight down and straight up. So straight down, straight up. No grungy bits, just don't get your grubby fingers on there. Okay, so that's how you use these cling mounted stamps. Easy peasy. Now we want to have a look at these acrylic stamps. Acrylic stamps are completely see-through. They will cling, they don't need easy mount on the back, and the reason why we don't put the easy mount on is A, it clings already, so it's not necessary, and B, you can see right through the block and right through the stamp, and you can see exactly where you're going to place that on your paper. So it's a real benefit to these acrylic stamps. The other benefit is they are really affordable. They're very, very cheap compared to a wood mounted stamp. Now you might be wondering why this one's kind of yellow when these ones are lovely and crisp and pretty and clear. There is a reason for that. I've been using these for years and these ones just arrived a few days ago and I haven't used them yet. So I store these straight in the on the sheet that they came on. They're well protected and I can see where everything goes. I like organisation, that works for me. One of the biggest criticisms of acrylic stamps is that sometimes they bead and people don't get great results with them. But what I want you to see is that this one, because it's been broken in, it's all yellow and I've been using it and using it and using it, it's going to give a really lovely crisp image, straight down, straight up, and I've got this beautifully well stamped stamp. But there's a couple of things I want to show you that will happen when you get a new packet. Sometimes, these are lovely Kaisercraft banner set, isn't it gorgeous? Okay, so when you get a new one, you just take off this backing, but when you're peeling off a new stamp, you might find that it is a bit reluctant to come off. But the thing is, once you've taken it off once, it comes off very easily the next time with no effort. So there are a few people say different ways of breaking these stamps. You can sand them with sandpaper, there's a finish on the acrylic that makes it all beady and blah blah blah. Really, in all honesty, the most effective way I've found of doing this, and I don't know if you can see that, it's a little bit beady on the surface. Oh, I hope you can see, but it beads up and you'll know it yourself when you use an acrylic stamp. So when I stamp this, it's not going to be very pretty. It's kind of blotchy and it's not a crisp line. Here is how I break in my acrylic stamps. I take a scrap piece of paper, I ink, stamp, ink, stamp. Now I might have to do that 50 times, I might have to do that 100 times. Point is, this is something I can do while I'm watching TV, while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, while I'm helping the kids do homework, that kind of thing. This is something that you can just do when you're, when you would otherwise be doing nothing. Yes, it's still beading, but after I've done that multiple times, this will ink up beautifully like that. Being discolored does not make any difference to the way these stamps function. They will still work perfectly fine. They just don't look as pretty. Now I want to show you a few different ink pads that you can get, and believe me, this is just a few different brands and different types. What we have here, these two are a dye ink pad. They dry pretty quickly. These particular ones are Stampin' Up brand. I like that you store them upside down, slide them in, and you can also keep some ink on here and pick it up with an aqua brush and actually watercolor your stamp. So it's a dual purpose ink, these. I really like them. The Distress Inks by Tim Holtz Distress Inks from Ranger. This is also a raised dye ink. It's a nice hard solid ink pad, but the properties of this ink are very different from the properties of that ink. This is an embossing ink and this is sticky stuff. It's a clear ink pad, there's no pigment in it, no colour, but this is what you use when you want to heat emboss with embossing powders. This is a really small Versacolor pad. This is a pigment ink pad and you can see it's really squishy, this one, and the ink stays wet for ages. So these are also good if you want to use them for embossing, heat embossing. I like to get little ones because then I could have more for my money, because you can always put it all over the stamp, and because it stays wet a long time, that's not a problem. StazOn ink is a good stock standard. It is designed to stamp on glossy surfaces. So if you are using acetate or you want to stamp on glass or tiles, anything that's glossy that other inks won't dry on, this is your thing that you need. And the last one I've got here is Memento ink. This is what I use for my Copic markers because it works friendly with them and isn't going to wreck them. What I also want to show you is how to re-ink an ink pad, and you can do that with practically all of these. You can buy re-inkers. The benefit is you don't have to chuck out an old ink pad when it's starting to get a bit dry and not giving you those really nice crisp images. You just take a re-inker, you make sure that the colour and the brand matches the ink pad, because the inks all have different properties, and you don't want to be inking up the wrong one. The mixture could, I don't know what it would do, but it might not be a pretty result. You just squeeze your ink over, let it sink in, and now you have a nice fresh juicy ink pad all over again. The next thing I want to show you is this cute little thing. It's called a Stamp-A-Majig. It comes with a nice square piece of plastic. Mine's gone walkabout, so I'm going to use some acetate with this. this is how you position a stamp exactly where you want it. And while the benefit of acrylic stamps, as you can see, with these wood mounted stamps, you can't see exactly where it's going. And in particular, this is a Stampin' Up set called Simply Said, and it's called a 2-part stamping system. So we stamp down a solid heart, and then we stamp this cute little flowered heart over the top of it. But how do you know it's going in the right place? Well, here's what we do. First things first, we are going to ink up the solid stamp. I'm going to give it a bit of a swiped, grungy look today. And we just stamp our heart shape straight down, straight up. No gnarly bits around the outside. Okay. Now I'm going to take a contrasting colour. This is Chocolate Chip. It's gorgeous, really dark brown. And I'm going to stamp up the little floral heart. The question is, how do I be sure it goes in the right place? So what I'm going to do is use this little Stampin' Majig. It's got a nice little corner. It's got a grip on the bottom so it's not sliding around everywhere. I've slipped the acetate into the corner. I'm going to take the stamp, fit it into the corner, slide it straight down, straight out, and you can see I now have this little heart, and I can place it exactly where it needs to go. So I've popped that right in the middle there. I know it's in the right place, so I'm positioning that, and now I can take this away, ink up the stamp again, and I know that when I slide that into the corner and go down and up, you can see that we have the flowers dead set in the middle. It's put everything where it needs to go. Now, a word of caution when you are using this, do not use the Stays On ink when you're stamping onto your acetate or your little plastic sheet, because it's designed to stay on plastic and it will stay there and you'll have a heck of a time getting it off. I can tell you that from experience. I do everything the hard way so you don't have to, of course. And the last thing I want to show you is cleaning your stamps. Now, this is called a Magic Carpet. Stampin' Up has a similar product. It's an open up case and you can clean on one side, dry on the other side. I'm using their cleaning mist. I like this because, and I just need one spray. I like it because it not only cleans, it conditions the rubber in my stamps. It keeps them in really good condition. So I just give it a scrub. You can see I've got a lovely soapy stamp there. A bit of a dry on the other side and it's ready to pack away. Ta-da! Okay, it's got a great little nap on it. It's kind of fuzzy. If you can't find one of these, I have had this for a very long time. If you can't stretch your budget to buy one of these, I have 2 more options for you. The first is to go down to Bunnings and find the little paint pads that come on handles that you use for painting walls and cutting in when you're doing painting. They have a very similar nap on them to this, and you can use that. It will be a lot cheaper and do the same job. Or what you can do next time you're at the supermarket, or if you've got a young one at home, grab a baby wipe and simply wipe over your stamp with a baby wipe and it will do an equally good job. I really hope you've enjoyed this quick look at stamps today. We've got acrylic, we've got rubber stamps, mounted, unmounted, different kinds of ink pads, acrylic blocks. I'm also working on a craft sheet, so no ink is going to stick to that, mess it up, nothing sticks. I can even heat emboss on it, but we will save that for another day. I hope that you are inspired to go out and try some stamps. You don't need to spend a lot of money. If you want to be put in touch with the Stampin' Up demonstrator, please leave a comment below or email me at hellodollies1@gmail.com, and I will be very happy to put you in touch with someone who can hook you up with these really cool products. Have fun, happy stamping, happy card making, happy scrapbooking. Have a great day. Bye.